Good morning, I'm Angelo Castro III.
I'm Angela, and we are the Castros.
Happy Monday, the start of a week, the start of news stories.
Yes.
Most recent developments of other stories as well.
Comelec preparation.
Yes,
and of course, we're going to be talking about the abduction.
Yeah, pero regarding kasi Comelec preparation over the weekend, we had the chance to join Comelec Chairman George Garcia on the grill with a discussion with him, getting to know him, ano yung nangyari sa election, and certain issues as well. Of course, yung abduction na sinabi ni Angela.
Allegedly.
Oo, yung kay magsasaka party list nominee Legion de la Cruz. Okay, we're serving you news. We're serving you today's headlines.
All that before your second cup of coffee. This is brunch.
Bilang Pilipino, bilang Pilipino.
Veteran journalists sat down with Comelec Chairman George Garcia to discuss key issues surrounding the 2025 midterm elections. Here's the report.
In a way, it's very
Journalists from One News, One PH, News 5, True FM, The Philippine Star, and Business World engage in an insightful discussion with Commission on Elections Chairman George Garcia in an interview on The Grill. Leading the discussion were Cheryl Cosim, Gretchen Ho, Regina Lay, Manny Mugato, Sean Yao, Ami Pamintuan, Diego Castro III, and Angela Lagunsad Castro. The interview tackled key issues ahead of the upcoming midterm elections. Garcia called for amendments to the country's election code, particularly on provisions related to premature campaigning.
Parang mas dehamak na mas malaki naman ang pera sa premature campaigning. Na wala naman talagang premature campaigning ayon sa batas. Yun yung hindi ko maintindihan. Sabi mo, fair ang batas, pero parang na-nullify na yung premature campaigning. Kasi magiging kandidato ka lang upon start of the campaign period. Hindi pa parang niloloko lang tayo.
Oh, because, I mean, lahat naman tayo, we see all the posters, tarpaulins, billboards.
Ako personally po ako talaga ang sakit at sama ng loob ko dyan. Sa lahat, ina-express ko yan publicly. Kaya lang, minsan, masama ang loob mo, hindi ka naniniwala. Kaya lang, yun ang batas, yun ang role namin to enforce and administer election laws. Kung alam nyo lang kung paano ako nakipagdebate sa mga dapat magbabago ng batas, na sinasabi ko, we have to change the law, napaka-unfair pag barangay, pag file ng candidacies sa isang law, sa isang manual election, candidates na kagad sila eh. Eh bakit pagka automated, kahit ba early filing, dapat candidates na rin.
He also clarified that election surveys, including those conducted in social media, must follow specific guidelines despite being constitutional.
Nalulunod na kami sa dami ng surveys. Wala pa man yung kampanya. Paano nyo i-regulate? Kasi dati, ang naglalabas lang ng surveys, SWS and Pulse Asia. Ngayon, mismo mga senatorial candidates, fini-feed kaming mga reporters ng mga survey na obviously, pasok sila sa top 12. So, basically, kahit hindi namin i-report yun, ipopost nila sa social media at alam naman natin, naghuhulma siya ng perception ng tao na, ito na yung 12. Ito na yung boto ko, at least panalo. Paano yun?
Dapat i-reveal sino nagpa-commission. Paano kinuha yung mga survey, yung respondents? Paano pinili ang respondents? Paano nagcome up ng mga questions? At the same time, ano ang scientific method na inadapt o ginamit ng survey firm? So dapat i-reveal lahat yun. Kasi if not, we will be filing cases. Kasi nasa guidelines rules namin, violation of our rules or guidelines is an election offense.
During the interview, Garcia emphasized the importance of ensuring all candidates participate in poll debates, arguing that selective participation would be unfair. He also stressed that debates should focus on issues rather than personalities.
Debate, inaabangan po talaga yan, sagutan ng mga kandidato, pati to get to know them as well as their platforms, diba? So, Chairman, i-require po ba ng COMELEC na umattend ang mga kandidato? At paano po iba-balance out lahat ng mga candidates if we're talking about 66 senatorial candidates?
Importante lang po siguro, i-compel namin ang presence kung masisigurado din lang ng stations na lahat a-attend. Kasi po napakahirap. Pagka po naging selective tayo, alam po natin, siyempre, it's still a business. Alam po natin, may mga commercial. Ang kaya lang, siyempre, ang problema namin, pagka po namili tayo, paano naman po yung iba? So, hindi po namin makukumpel yung iba kung hindi natin sisiguraduhin lahat. At saka naiintindihan po natin, at any given time, 6, kung 66 yun, 10
10 times.
10 times. Kung 10 yan, 6 na beses din. So medyo may problem po tayo doon na naunawaan natin. So may kinakailangan yung mga stasyon makagawa ng paraan na hindi siya debate. Na hindi talaga siya debate, na pwede ma-invite ang mga panauhin na makuha hindi yung personalidad, kung hindi makuha yung mismong issues ang talakayan. At pagka ganon, walang problema at hindi makikialam ang COMELEC sa estasyon ng radyo television.
Additionally, he reiterated his opposition to political dynasties, stating that they limit opportunities for others to serve in public office. For News 5, Mon Gualvez, we are One News.
Marami tayong na-tackle na issue dyan eh. Yung pag-upo niya, 2-hour interview, di ba?
Pero ano
with COMELEC Chairman George
take note yung mga
Garcia.
sinabi niyang about key issues, yun ang personal stance niya.
Yeah.
Not the stance of the COMELEC necessarily as a whole.
Especially yung sa anti-political dynasty.
Paulit-ulit naman niya sinasabi, on my personal level, sana ganito.
Kasi dami kasi talaga nakikita natin mga loophole ng batas eh. Tulad yan, yung usapin ng premature campaigning.
Tsaka hindi, parang na-mention niya at lumilitaw lagi is yung pinakamalaking loophole, aside from premature campaigning, is magkano ang cost per voter ang nakalaan for each candidate. Baba na, napaka-antiquated already.
Yes, 3 pesos yan for, ang tawag dito, may party.
Oo.
Na may political party na kandidato. And then, yung may independent naman 5 pesos per ha. So, di ba, a
So,
lot of
isipin
people
mo,
are saying, baka pwedeng i-ano na yun, amend na
Isipin
yung
mo,
law
para
na
to
yun.
win an election, a candidate must spend not more supposedly than 5 pesos. Pero that's why yung mga kandidato ayaw
voter.
ayaw nila magpa-consider as candidates sa pagka-file ng COC sa campaign period because yan ang loophole nila. Yan ang gray area nila. Baba 5 pesos per vote bubuhos ko ang billboard at commercials ko tsaka yung mga marketing materials ko. Wala pang campaign period.
Yun, kaya yun ang nangyayari
yun ang
ngayon. I
nangyayari.
mean, for the longest time, ganun na nangyayari. And ngayon, meron pang social media ads
Yeah.
na nakakasama
Yan ang
ngayon sa
sinabi
mga premature campaign.
ni Chairman George na unfair, di ba? Kasi nung unang panahon, pagka-file mo ng COC, di ba? Tapos consider yung panahon ng manual elections kandidato ka na.
Kaso nagkaroon nga ng ruling ang Supreme Court noong 2019, if I'm not mistaken, na saying na magiging official candidate ka lamang kapag nag-start na yung campaign.
Sa totoo naman, kung ayaw naman ng mga lawmakers natin na ganun, pwede man sila gumawa ng batas that the candidate is deemed the candidate only, di ba? Pwede naman
Pero
ganun
kasi syempre, kung papabor sa kanila, ang problema lang dyan yung mga maliliit na kandidato na hindi kaya makipagsabayan sa mga gastusin na ganito.
Exactly.
Diba? Before the campaign.
yung talagang pwedeng maging magaling na public servant. Pero
ngayon
walang pera.
Oo. Di ba ngayon nga nakikita natin, I mean, as early as last year, we've seen a lot of billboards, di ba, along the highway ng mga kilalang kandidato at saka mga may kakayahan, di ba, magbayad ng mga ganitong klaseng malalaking billboard ng mga kandidato.
Saka let's face it, di ba, kung ikaw ay isang public servant at gusto mo kumandidato, inubos mo pera mo at saka mga pera ng mga kaibigan mo dahil naniniwala sa'yo. Billion-billion para manalo, kunyari, let's say, a national position. Of course, kahit papaano, tao ka rin. Gusto mo rin bawiin yung...
Of course.
So, temptations come in, di ba? So, teka lang,
But
yung kumpare kung may kumpanya, nagbigay ng paano kaya babawi tayo dito? O sige, mga batas, gagawa ako ng mga legislation na friendly sa type of business niya.
Totoo.
Pwedeng ganun ang
Sinabi
nangyayari.
nga ni Mayor Vico Soto sa one of his interviews, I think sa Philippine Star din yun, with Ma'am Ami Pamintuan. Sinabi niya na kapag malaki ginas mo sa kampanya,
Paano mo babawi kaya yan?
malaki rin ang pagkakataon na gusto mong bawiin yun. Something to that effect.
Di ba ngayon, may mga certain local candidates daw ngayon, kung mamigay ng pera.
Iba-ibang mga...
Matindi.
Pero bawal yan.
Kaya
mga
kayo mga
vote
voters kayo huwag magpapasilaw na nabigyan kayo ng pera. Tumingin na lang kayo lagi sa dapat qualified talaga, may track record or may good moral character.
Yun ang tignan nyo instead
Remember,
yung mga survey.
don't look at the survey. Tignan nyo yung puso nyo. Hindi porket sa survey mababa na, ayaw nyo na. Huwag na ganun, huwag ganun.
Alright, in other news, magsasaka party list nominee June de la Cruz has been found after going missing on Sunday. Men aboard 2 motorcycles reportedly opened fire beside the car that De La Cruz was driving in Cainta, Rizal. He was able to flee the scene but was eventually chased by the same men who were allegedly police officers. His party said they lost contact with him until they received information that he was in police custody. The Marikina police eventually confirmed that De La Cruz was arrested for a standing murder charge.
Bakit open fire nung una?
Oo, hindi, I was reading the story kasi ano yung nangyari, no?
Timeline, yung actual timeline.
Parang yun nga, Sunday ito, yesterday,
Oh.
it happened yesterday, and then parang allegedly itong dalawang supposedly aaresto sa kanya, syempre wala naman siyang alam, parang nagtanong pa sa kanya ng about real estate. To that effect, ano. Tapos, nakita niya na merong bumubukol na baril. So, parang doon nag-start na tumakbo na siya. Tapos, the chase began. Tapos, tawag dito, nandun siya sa dead end. So, syempre, na-corner na siya. Then, apparently, he was illegally beaten. Illegally abducted and aggressively beaten. Yan ang word na ginamit dito. At pinasquat pa daw siya ng 2 hours bago siya dinala sa ospital. Yun yung nangyari.
Alam mo, kahit mga ano ganyan it's things like this that cause people to fear yung mga police officers. Hindi naman lahat ng police officers natin na ganyan. May mababait. Pero if you have a standing warrant, tapos kailangan mo to bring in custody, you don't need to torture, you don't need to hurt them, di ba? Kung hindi naman manglalaban, talagang manglalaban, take them into custody properly.
Tsaka una-una,
pinasquat. Yung ba't pa pinasquat?
I was checking, ano ba yung standard operating procedure ng,
yung
ng
SOP.
PNP, di ba? So, hopefully, di ba, dahil all sides, all the time naman tayo, may makausap tayo from that side. Pero checking it, dapat talaga, unang-una, bago mo i-serve yung warrant daw, ipapakilala mo muna, establish authority. Pakilala mo muna kung sino ka, bakit ka nandito, anong gagawin mo. And nakalagay din na dapat naka-uniforme.
Tsaka Miranda rights.
Oo, tas yung Miranda rights.
You have the
Pero
right to
parang
remain
I don't
silent.
think it happened, diba? So, yun ang titignan natin. Kasi itong si De La Cruz, si Legion De La Cruz, ay third nominee sa Magsasaka
Party list.
So, if you will look at his background naman, siya pala ay anak nito ni Nilo De La Cruz, na former commander ng Alex Boncayo Brigade. At for some time, naging leader din siya ng
Alex
itong
Boncayo
si
Brigade.
Legion, Pero 2 decades na daw, according sa reports natin, 2 dekada na siyang nagbalik loob sa gobyerno. Kumbaga, hindi na siya miyembro na doon, hindi na siya active member.
Under yung mga amnesty program ng government.
And ito daw, charge na to was, itong murder charge, parang 1992.
So ilan years? 22 years ago. Tama ba? 22 years ago.
So ngayon, syempre, ang hinihinala, doon sa side ito, linawin natin sa side ng Magsasaka Party List, sa side nila Legion, ang hinihinala dito ay botched assassination. Doon siya nangyari.
With yung mga police officers kasi daw hindi nakabihis, di ba?
Hindi yata nakabihis eh. Tsaka yun nga, una, nagpretend pa sila nagtatanong about real estate. Diba? Kasi kung, yun ay according sa kanila, no? So, we want to know yung sa police side,
other
diba?
side.
Hopefully, we can talk to somebody to clear this up, diba?
Alright, in other news, the Commission on Elections is considering moving polling places to more spacious and comfortable venues. COMELEC Chairman George Garcia has directed local offices to explore options such as gymnasiums and multi-purpose halls. This initiative aims to enhance the voting experience in future elections, especially for vulnerable groups like the elderly, pregnant women, and persons with disabilities. Garcia noted that public schools often pose challenges for voters due to limited space, small chairs and tables, poor ventilation, and multi-level layouts that hinder accessibility.
Nabanggit din yan sa sinasabi ni COMELEC
Chairman George, napakalaking tao mo, tapos yung upuan mo pang grade school. So, paano upo? Or, minsan, mababa ang upuan mo, tapos, siyempre, pag elderly, mahirap tumayo at umupo. Di ba?
At
Things
saka,
like
di ba,
that.
for the longest time, well, at least for the last 2-3 elections naman na-address na yun. Pero before, di ba, pinapakita nila yung mga kapatid natin na may kapansanan, hirap na hirap o hindi na makaboto dahil sino ba naman yung aakit pa sa hagdanan?
Yes.
Di ba ilang floors bago sila makarating sa presinto nila?
Sa US, karamihan ng voting places is multipurpose halls, cooperatives, usually ganyan. Accessibility kasi is very important.
So ngayon, yun yung sinasabi ni COMELEC Chairman George Garcia na hanap sila ng mga gymnasiums, di ba? Check nila para daw komportable din yung boboto, hindi na madismaya. And most especially, yung yung gagawin nila ngayon, yung di ba, ang tawag dito, medyo naantala o madalas naantala yung mga voters sa paghahanap ng presinto nila or paghahanap ng pangalan nila pag nandun na sila sa presinto.
Kasi napakahaba ng listahan.
Yes.
So minsan gaganunin mo pa isa-isa. Nandiyan man name ko, di ba?
Oo, ang tagal.
Oo.
So ngayon, di ba nabanggit ni Comelec Chairman George Garcia during the interview sa The Grill nung over the weekend, maglalagay din daw sila ng maliliit na picture ng mga voters para makita nila right away. Oh, ako to okay, go.
Pero you can, ahead of time, you can check muna. Kasi
Oo, pwede naman.
ang mahirap kasi hanapin the way yung layout is yung tipong nakalagay ko ano yung precinct number mo na kagad.
Yes.
So you can check on kaagad before you even go, iti-check mo, taga barangay blank ako. Pag barangay blank, dapat dito ka. So i-check mo na kaagad online kung saan ang polling mo. Then you look at your name in the list.
And then some people would ask, bakit ba importante na maganda yung pagbobotohan ng isang botante, 'di ba? Para din syempre, para maengganyo bumoto. And of course, alam natin na tama yung presinto ng pagbobotohan ng isang botante at hindi sila ma-disenfranchise.
Karamihan sa mga tao kasi ayaw na bumoto pag mahaba ang pila, pag mainit.
O kaya hindi makita yung pangalan nila, hindi na lang ako boboto.
After 5 minutes of looking, ayoko na, uwi na ako.
Oo, 'di ba? Hindi na ako
Madaming
boboto.
ganyan.
So, tapos ma-disenfranchise ng iba naman.
Yes.
Lumipat, nasa kabilang presinto pala siya, tapos naubutan na ng oras, hindi na nakaboto. Na-disenfranchise na siya.
correct.
Sayang yung boto niya. 'Di ba? So, importante rin na malagay din sa mga considerations natin. Alright. Sige, balikan natin yung usapin
issues
natin.
of Lejunda de la Cruz of Magsasaka Party List. Angel, who do we have?
Yeah, we have Attorney General Du of Magsasaka. Party List is now on the line joining us today. Good morning po. Thanks for joining us.
Yes, good morning, Miss Angela.
Hingi lang po kami ng
Good morning
update. Nasan po ngayon si Mr. Lejon de la Cruz? Kamusta po siya?
Actually, I am with him right now.
Oh, okay.
We are
Can you talk to
in
him?
Marikina Police. Hindi ko na alam kung allowed eh.
Okay.
But we are in Marikina Police Station right now.
So ano po talaga yung nangyari?
safe So, kahapon, my client told me na paalis siya from Cainta. Gagaling siya sa kanyang kaibigan. Tapos, nung pasakay na siya ng sasakyan, nasa street parking lang ito, may lumapit sa kanya na sa bandang kaliwa niya, sa may driver's side, na parang nag-aalok ng real estate daw. And then, napansin niya, merong bulbs sa may hips yung nagtatanong. But hindi pa siya gumalaw nung pangapanahon na yon. Tapos, sa bandang kanan niya, nakita niya may nag-alight din from a motorcycle na tao na may bulbs din at bumunot. So, at yung nasa kaliwa niya, pumutok na ng 2 beses nung pagkabunot nung nasa kanan. So, tumakbo siya. So, this is Cainta, no? Na corner sa bandang Manggahan. Hinabol siya eh. Hinabol siya ng Manggahan. Buto na lang, nung na-corner siya doon sa Manggahan, ay marami ng tao. Parang community sa may Manggahan. And 3 hours siyang hinold doon actually. Nung narinig niyang, kasi nung na-corner na siya, he was about to escape pa dapat, pero may sumigaw doon na, kasi may Pasig Police na sumama eh. Doon lang siya tumigil and surrendered himself.
Yung mga pulis na daw ba ito, yung uniforme?
No, lahat sila hindi naka-uniforme, lahat civilian.
So itong mga
Naka-civilian lahat, meron pa nga iba
Go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
Naka-t-shirt lang at saka ano daw, shorts, may naka-shorts pa nga yung iba eh.
So itong mga nagpaputok, sir, tsaka yung mga humabol sa kanya, confirm po lahat po sila ay police?
Yung nagpuputok, hindi pa confirm kung police. Pero yung humuli sa kanya at humabol, confirm na police.
And nung
afterwards,
go ahead.
Afterwards kasi, nung nahuli na siya sa Pasig, 3 oras siya doon, parang dinideliberate pa, hindi pa siya tina-turn over eh. Hindi pa siya binubooking. Hindi pa siya dinadala sa presinto. So I think, we think that they were deliberating if what they would do with the client. So, dahil nga, nung mga panahon na yon, nag-media blitz na kami, at marami nang nagtatatawag, we think that it thwarted whatever their plans is.
Yes.
So,
So, sir, ano to? So
kasi
you...
sa perspective namin kasi ang angulo kasi ng pulis siya ngayon is they are serving a warrant daw. Tapos ang nakita ko yung warrant, this is a 1992 case. 1992 case. So I think it's only an afterthought for them na sabi nag-aano ng warrant kasi in the first place in Cainta hindi pa nila ipinakita. First, hindi sila nagpakilalang pulis. Kung policeman sila. Second, ay naka-civilian sila. At third, ay pumutok. Pinutokan siya agad ng dalawa. So this is really a botched assassination attempt against my client.
You think, sir, since you mentioned a botched assassination attempt, tapos afterthought na lang itong parang scapegoat nila ang old case niya, who would be behind such an attempt?
Your guess is as good as mine. Kasi my client has been above ground and in legal formation since 90s. Since 1990s. And this case that they're pinning on him was 1992. Ano pa ito? We think na hinukay lang nila yan just to justify this botched assassination attempt para to give a semblance of legality to the operation.
Okay. According po dun sa mga reports na nabasa namin, meron pong sinabi pinasquat siya ng 2 hours, meron din daw po aggressively beaten. Are these all true?
Yes. Yes po. Actually, meron naman tayong medical legal, no? Kasi after nung nakita na namin siya kahapon, we demanded na medical legal siya. At medical legal siya sa Amang Rodriguez Hospital. And hanggang ngayon, actually, I'm in front of him. Marami siyang bruises sa buong katawan, pati muka. And gas-gas and bruises. Tiyan, tuhod, elbow, kamay, muka, etc. So, habang nakadapa daw siya, almost 3 hours yun. Nakadapa siya.
Wow.
So, on the pavement ng Lingahan.
Right. Attorney, can you enlighten us now on the background of Mr. Legion de la Cruz? Because we've been seeing a lot of reports also na siya po ay anak ni Nilo de la Cruz, ang former commander ng Alex Moncayo Brigade. And somehow, along the way, naging leader din po siya. And after that, ay ano na po ang ginagawa ni Sir after nung po kanyang aktibidad na yun?
That is true po. That was during the 80s and the 90s. No? But in 1998, my client told me that he already went above ground. Actually, in year 2000, there was already a peace agreement. He was part of a peace agreement with the Arab government na nagbibigay ng immunity from suit nung lahat ng mga past, because those are all political daw. Actually, after that, nag-organize si Legion ng mga communities, farmers, workers, etc. Ever since 2004, actually, sumasali na sila sa party list. He was a nominee of a party list 2004. I just forgot the name of the party list. No? And every election cycle, they join elections. So, I think everyone in the government, even in the intelligence community, knows na wala nang illegal activities o kung ano mang underground activities si Legion. He has been consistent in... Actually, nung last year lang, he could travel abroad.
Yes.
He freely, wala talagang warrant of arrest laban sa kanya.
But of course, leading up to this, what you claim to be a botched assassination attempt, leading up to this, was there any, just to clarify, any inkling on the part of Legion or any info that he had that possibly na may attempt on his life?
Wala rin eh. Nung kausap ko rin siya dyan, wala rin siyang maisip na kung sino ang will be behind this botched assassination attempt. But we are sure, of course, that there's someone. We are sure that there is someone. Pero sa ngayon, wala pa kaming makita kung sino ba o ano ang motibo.
Okay. So ano po mangyayari ngayon? Ano po yung magiging procedure? And on your side, sa inyo po, sa Magsasaka Party List, ano po ang gagawin po ninyo after this incident?
Well, first, of course, we need to secure the safety muna ni Legion, no? Dahil nga, may threat pa rin, syempre. If the one behind this could instigate police law enforcement to assassinate a person, then we think na, lalo na pag nasa custody. So, 24 hours merong tao dito lagi na nagbabantay. At ang next steps namin legally, of course, is to face those legal sinasabi nila. Kahit na this is an afterthought, of course, kailangan pa rin sa proseso naman yan. Tapos tinaniman din kasi siya ng baril eh. So parang merong Comelec gun ban ata na case. I still didn't see the records. But my client saw it being sinusulat ng police daw doon sa report, parang ganon. So we will face all the charges. We believe that our client is innocent of all the charges. So we'll take it from there.
Alright, patuloy po kami makikipag-ugnayan sa inyo sa magiging development po ng kaso na ito. Maraming salamat po sa inyong oras, Attorney General Du of Magsasaka Party List. Thank you.
Thank you.
Now let's move on to another news. The majority of Filipino voters said they will support candidates who advocate for job creation, food security, and quality healthcare, education, and welfare of OFWs. That's according to a recent survey conducted by Social Weather Stations or SWS, commissioned by the Stratbase Group. The poll conducted from January 17 to 20 showed 94% support for candidates focused on job opportunities and agriculture, while 93% backed those pushing for a stronger healthcare system. Education and workers' right also ranked high, with 92% of respondents supporting candidates promoting equal access to education and OFW welfare. Other key concerns included reducing poverty and hunger, addressing climate change, controlling prices of goods, and defending national sovereignty in the West Philippine Sea. Dahil to address also yung mga inflation natin, kailangan ng mga maraming trabaho. Pero lagi naman natin pinag-uusapan, kapag may trabaho ka, importante yung skills matching ng trabaho natin. So, maintindihan natin talaga yung concern ng kababayan natin.
Aside from upskilling, baka naman you could tell yung mga HR hiring forces ng mga kumpanya to relax a couple of skills na kung na-meet mo naman a majority of the skills needed for your job and he missed out on 2 skills, mga ibang HR kasi mahigpit. Pabigyan nyo na. I mean, kung kaya naman, kaya mong gampanan ng trabaho, hayaan mo na. I-probationary mo na lang.
Tapos, of course, like what I've said, maintindihan mo talaga hinaing ng mga Filipinos, di ba? Base dito sa naging survey. Aside from job creation, you have food security, di ba? Ngayon, di ba, dami ng issue, mga sibuyas, bigas, di ba? Ng mga natin sa agriculture and quality healthcare. Dahil hanggang ngayon, ang haba-haba pa rin ng mga pila sa mga public, sa mga government hospital para humihingi yung ating mga kababayan ng tulong sa healthcare system.
Konting hinga lang.
Bakit?
Diretso.
Alright, so yun yung mga, yung mga importante talaga para sa ating mga kababayan. So dapat yun na tinitignan nila. Kapag sila ay boboto.
Go!
But coming up, VP Sara reiterated the possibility of her running in the presidential elections in 2028. Ano kaya ang kanyang dahilan?
And at least 40 social media personalities are invited for the House hearing on fake news and disinformation.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. Happy Monday po
Happy
sa
Monday.
inyo. Of course, as promised, ito po ang ating mga pabati today. Dito, unahin muna natin sa YouTube. We have, of course, Alex Fuentes, si Ralph Domingo, si Sam Pokemon Go. Mga shoutout sa mga Fabebe kasi Feb na.
Oo nga, no? Tama.
Hindi pa, ito, si Ruth Chavez de Guzman. Ayan. Si Mark Santiago, si Butch Chavez, ayan, John Aquino, ayan, maraming salamat po sa inyo. At ito pa, Tingnan din natin dito sa YouTube. Of course, si Daisy Cancio.
Tito
Sino pa
Daisy,
ba?
yeah.
Si Tito Naldi and Kuya Jopet ng
Si
Antipolo.
Ai, si Vlad, si Yuri, hello.
Yeah. Si Geraldine Balolong, good morning. Sino ba? Ronald Maxtay, si Summer Cabrera, si Leonie Valdesoto, ayan, si Ryan John, ayan. Magkakilala na yung mga nag-ano dito, oh. Dito na sila nagkakilala sa chat.
Tropa na sila.
Hi daw.
Sige.
Oo, sige. Mamay Mina Beliales and of course si Tita Esther Abayan din sa atin. Okay, si Mother Earth. All right, let's get the news right now. Vice President Sara Duterte reiterates that she is seriously considering running in the 2028 presidential election. Here's the report.
Following a private event in Panabo City, Davao del Norte, Vice President Sara Duterte granted an exclusive interview with News 5 on Saturday. She reiterated the possibility of her running in the president election in 2028.
I'm seriously considering running in the 2028 presidential elections dahil sa mga nakikita natin sa bayan natin na dapat ayusin, dapat baguhin, kailangan maging competitive tayo sa mga kapitbahay natin dito sa ating region at hindi lang sa region kundi sa buong mundo.
On the issue of budget cut for her office's medical and burial assistance, she had this to say.
Line item kasi ito sa budget namin at nung ginagawa ang budget, binura ito. Kaya hindi kami makakabigay ng medical and burial assistance sa ating mga kababayan. Pero yung mga ibang projects namin ay tutuloy-tuloy yan.
The Vice President, however, refused to comment on her impeachment cases. Recall that at least 3 complaints have been filed at the House of Representatives.
Tulong mo na sa bayan yan. Pag nagsalita ako, makakagulo ang bayan.
She called on her critics to focus on more pressing issues that country is facing.
Sana ay magkaisa, magtulungan, napakalaki ng problema natin sa bayan. Mahal ang presyo ng bigas, mahal ang presyo ng pagkain, patuloy na tumataas ang presyo ng mga bilihin. Yun ang una nating tutukan dahil yun din ang unang pangangailangan ng ating mga kababayan.
Ayan, iba na yung tono ni ngayon.
Medyo kalmado na si VP.
Oo, hindi, tsaka kasi before, pag tinatanong siya, di ba, yung kasagsagan ng mga hearings, sa mga interview sa kanya, kung may plano ba siyang kumandidato sa 2028 elections, laging sinasabi, hindi ko pa napag-uusapan niya, malayo pa yan. Ngayon, medyo na siya, medyo inclined na siya doon sa usapin na tatakbo siya.
Siguro kung before kasi siguro naglalaban ng isip ni VP Sara. I mean, gusto niya, ayaw niya, gusto niya. Pero after all, yung nakikita niya supposedly sa budget and the way she was treated sa Congress, ngayon gusto ko na.
Oo.
Tsaka napansin mo si VP, no? Gusto ko lang, binati natin kanina pumayat siya.
Oo.
No? Parang pumayat? Tama ba ako?
Yeah, oo. Pero more than that, of course, antay natin ano pa yung mga magiging hakbang ni Vice President Sara Duterte kasi medyo siya ngayon kalmado siya ngayon, hindi siya masyadong papa-interview. Then this interview was conducted by Bryn Montalvo, ang ating correspondent
sa Davao
sa
del Norte.
Mindanao. Exclusive ito pa.
Oo.
Diba? So ayan yung mga
Payat to. Ayan, oh. See?
Okay. Alright.
Alright, in other news,
In the 2028.
the Bureau of Immigration revealed that some of the Chinese nationals apprehended last month for alleged espionage have been in the Philippines for decades. Immigration Commissioner Joel Viado said these individuals had, quote, embedded themselves into society, with some residing in the country since 2002. He noted that some of the arrested Chinese nationals held working visas linked to companies in San Juan and Manila, while others were married to Filipinas. The agency urged the public to remain vigilant and report any suspicious activities involving foreign nationals that could pose a threat to national security.
Yeah.
Kuya, isa pang question dito kung kasabot nila itong mga asawa nila, are they part of the scheme or sila din ay naloko? Ginamit lang na for
Hindi nila
citizenship.
alam.
Diba? Daming questions to ask about this. Kasi this is very concerning kung totoo ito. This is very concerning.
Oo. At saka yun nga sinasabi nga nila, expect daw more arrest 'di ba,
Yes,
of these
expect out.
allegedly mga Chinese spy dito sa atin. Kasi may mga ibang investigation din pala last year pa na nakikita nila na parang may isa pang Chinese national pero wala narata siya dito sa ating bansa na journalist. Journalist siya, pero parang allegedly may mga security concerns din. Parang he has already established connections here with energy and economic resources, etc.
Journalist siya dito or sa China?
Journalist siya sa China.
Sa China.
Then pumunta siya dito to cover international news, 'di ba? Pero apparently parang hindi rin siya nag-sign up doon sa I forgot kasi parang parang permit, 'di ba, na para pwede mong gawin yung trabaho mo sa ibang bansa.
Yeah, you need a special permit to work or
Philippine journalist something dito sa atin. So parang hindi siya nag-sign up doon. And he was here for a couple of years. Rented a condominium, Makati, mga ganyan. Yun nga, and he was able to establish connections. Pero ang sinasabi nila doon sa investigation na yan, baka may mga link din siya allegedly dito sa inimbestigahan ng National Security Council. But yun nga, dapat maging maingat lang tayo pagdating sa ganito. Pero sinasabi naman ng NSC, di ba, through Jonathan, Director General
Jonathan Malaya, matibay daw yung mga ebidensya nila. Even in the one that they arrested ng yung recently,
yung may asawa na Pilipina na may
yung may
anak.
kotse na paikot-ikot na may machine siya.
Yung supposedly natrabaho sa self-driving car company, etc.
Yeah.
So, ayun, yun yung sinasabi nila. Alright, 2 new Chinese vessels have been spotted near Pangasinan. The Philippine Coast Guard said they detected the ship's activities over the weekend. They then deployed an aircraft confirming the presence of Chinese vessel 3301 and 3104. They issued a radio warning, but personnel on board the Chinese ships did not respond. BRP Cabra and BRP Bakgakay have been sent to the area to monitor the situation.
Let's talk more about that issue.
Now, on the line, we have PCG spokesperson for the West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariela. Commodore, thanks again for joining us today.
So, yes, good morning and also pleasant morning to all your viewers.
Okay, babigyan na lang po kami, Commodore, ng update dito sa mga mga barko ng China na naitaboy na ba natin? And ito din ba yung mga barko na nakita natin in the previous days?
Well, yesterday, regarding our latest press release about the Chinese Coast Guard monster ship, we were able to push them away at a distance of 120 nautical miles. Ito yung initially na report ng January 4 na may distance na 54 nautical miles off Capones Point.
Yes.
Pero ngayon, for so many days at the Philippine Coast Guard and monitoring the movement of the Chinese Coast Guard, we were able to challenge it and move it away at a distance of 120 nautical miles. And then at the same time, kahapon din, nag-issue tayo ng press release wherein our Coast Guard aircraft, yung PCG Islander natin, was able to challenge and document the presence of China Coast Guard 3301 and 3104 off the coast of Bolinao, Pangasinan.
Okay.
And because of that, the Commandant of the Coast Guard, Alvin Taban, deployed the 244-meter vessels, BRP Cabra and BRP Bagakay. As we speak right now, these two Philippine Coast Guard vessels are still monitoring and challenging the presence of these two China Coast Guard vessels.
Yes, Commodore, all in all, do we see an increase in the number of Chinese Coast Guard vessels in the last few months? Or are these simply the same vessels just moving around?
Well, I don't think that there's a significant increase in the past few months. So, ang makikita lang naman talaga natin ngayon na naging significant is yung additional 2 China Coast Guard vessels na nanggaling ng Mindoro and then moving upward to Pangasinan. Ito yung China Coast Guard 3301 and 3104. But I don't think that this is something that will be permanent.
Yung yung monster ship, nasaan na po ngayon?
The monster ship, as I said, is 120 nautical miles away from the coast of Zambales.
Oo. Ito pong mga nakita po natin recently na mga Chinese Coast Guard na vessel, meron po ba sila mga aktibidad na ginagawa while they were inside our exclusive economic zone or ating sovereignty? Or umaali-aligid lang talaga sila?
wala silang ginagawa, no? For so many days, they're just working around our exclusive economic zone and responding to our regional challenge na what they're doing is legitimate maritime law enforcement. And sinasabi natin na ang intention lang talaga ng China dito is to normalize itong illegal presence sila na to, no? And if you're not going to challenge it, if you're not going to document it, and the world will never know about such illegal presence, before we know it, ang China is already getting closer sa coastline natin. No? I think the best way to illustrate this is, alimbawa may kapitbahay ka, and then it will be, yung kapitbahay mo magtatayo ng fence, 1 meter every week, i-adjust. And if you're not going to file a complaint sa barangay, no?
Yeah.
Baka pati yung dirty kitchen ng bakuran mo na-occupy niya na. So that's what China is doing.
Yeah. Commodore, in the last few months sa mga reports, no, madaming lumalabas na balita about nga yung radio challenges na ginagawa ng Philippine Coast Guards, which seem to have been effective. Case in point po, yung napag-usapan natin before na lumalayo na ang distansya ng ibang barko na malapit sa atin. Has there been a change in our strategy in the way we give out our radio challenges? Is it more frequent? What have we been doing now that the Chinese seem to have been responding to the challenges somewhat?
Well, since we started itong pag-challenge ng China Coast Guard, I think we have been very consistent until now. We're doing this on an hourly basis. Oras-oras, tinatawagan natin sila hanggang magsawa silang pakinggan na what they're doing is illegal, that they're violating the Philippine Maritime Zone Act, UNCLOS, in which they're a signatory state in the 2016 Arbitral Award. No? Para sa atin, it's important for us to highlight this. Not just for the Chinese Coast Guard to, get tired of listening all these lawful references that we're citing, but also for the Filipino people to understand na ang posisyon natin sa West Philippine Sea ay may legal na basihan, no? Kumbaga, we're also countering itong mga pro-China trolls na ang posisyon natin sa West Philippine Sea ay katang-isip lamang.
Yes.
Through this radio challenge, we are educating the Filipino people as well.
But I heard, Commodore, na some analysts have been saying na aside from educating nga yung Filipino people, baka kasi two birds with one stone, na-educate din natin yung mga ibang Chinese Coast Guard personnel who are not aware of these rulings from UNCLOS.
Well, that's also another reason, no? Why we are keep on mentioning this, no? Citing UNCLOS, Maritime Zone Act, and also 2016 Arbitral Award. But what is surprising here is every time we say that, the Chinese are also saying that they do not recognize the Arbitral Award. It doesn't. They do not believe na it has significance on their claim. Again, kung other people will argue na baka ang sinasabi natin is not something that they understand. But let's just keep on doing this, no? Because our audience here is not just the Chinese Coast Guard per se, but the international community and the Filipino people.
Yeah. Commodore, tanong ko na rin po, meron na po ba tayong mga nakaschedule ngayon na RORI missions? Or may nagawa na po ba tayong RORI missions over the past weeks na hindi po natin alam? At kamusta po yun?
The past resupply mission on board BRP Sierra Madre was released by the Armed Forces of the Philippines and even the Department of Foreign Affairs. No? Sinabi nagumpay ang resupply operation na to. As far as the Coast Guard is concerned, we're just supporting and assisting the Armed Forces of the Philippines through our Coast Guard vessels.
Right.
And as for reference with the press statement that they gave, sinabi nila na matagumpay naman ito at naging mapayapa.
Alright, on that note, maraming salamat po muli sa inyong oras. Huwag po kayo magsawa sa amin. PCG spokesperson for West Philippine Sea, Commodore J. Tariala.
All right, don't go away. We're not done yet. Stay with us. Welcome back. You're still watching Brunch here on One News. The House of Representatives has invited at least 40 social media personalities to serve as resource persons for the probe on fake news and disinformation on February 4. The inquiry will be led by the House Tri-Committee, which includes the Committees on Public Order and Safety, Public Information, and Information and Communications Technology. Among the invited social media influencers are Sasot, Lorraine Badoy, Jeffrey Celis, Banat B, and Mahardika. Committee Chair Laguna Representative Dan Fernandez, and they said the inquiry seeks to identify weaknesses in current digital policies and propose stricter measures against misinformation. Representatives from major tech companies like Google, Meta, and ByteDance are also expected to participate in discussions.
Si ano yan? Si Banat Bay.
Banat Bay, sorry,
ko yan
Banat
dun
B.
sa mga
Siya yung
mga cameraman sa babae.
Napanood ko yan si Banat. Yun yung time na nung election parang tumitira bigla kay Marcos Jr. after a while. Paiba-iba siya pero maganda yung mga okay naman sana yung punto niya at the times, pero ang style niya parang galit lagi na Pero nakikita ko yun sa TikTok.
Sa TikTok.
TikTok account niya.
Pero ako, it's high time na talagang bigyan ng pansin. Kasi laganap talaga yung mga fake news, yung mga disinformation sa social media na in essence, syempre, yung ibang mga kababayan natin, hindi naman katulad ng iba na magpa-fact check pa sila. Iba, whatever they see online, parang for them, it's gospel truth.
Pero, medyo interesting for me to see na si Dan Fernandez have invited, karamihan na nakikita kong names at pinag-usapan natin to, from a specific, particular political family na allied sila, from the Dutertes. Diba? So, bakit kaya from that side lang sila kumuha ng mga
The majority, kumbaga.
Kaya majority. So it's interesting to know ano ba ang...
Kasi ito yung mga malalaki yung malalaki yung following.
Mas madami pang malalaki yung following that belong to the other side. But I'm just saying, it's just interesting lang to see yung magiging direction nito. Will this be another heated committee hearing, di ba?
Tignan natin.
Last hurrah bago mag-campaign na talaga sila Kong or di ba? Let's see.
Tignan natin. Pero importante talaga na ma-address itong issue na to sa social media dahil talaga laganap ang fake news.
Kasi ang daming maniniwalang kabataan, yung mga kaka-18 lang, 19 who are going to be new voters and they see info like this kaagad. Gospel truth sa kanila yan sometimes.
Alright, in other news, one has been confirmed dead in a helicopter crash in Guimba, Nueva Ecija on Saturday. The lone fatality was identified as Julia Flori Po, the pilot of the aircraft. According to CAAP, the helicopter departed Baguio at 11:51 a.m. where a passenger disembarked. The aircraft then landed in Binaloan, Pangasinan for refueling, experienced a delay before taking off. At 5:20 p.m., the Guimba Police Station received notification from a concerned citizen regarding a helicopter crash. The victim was a pilot of Will to Win host Willie Revillame. Napanood.
Aerial accidents ngayon.
Oo. Napanood ko yan kasi there's a parang farmer there also na narinig daw niya yung tunog siguro, yung crash. So lumabas daw siya, tinignan daw niya. And I think he was able to get the pilot from 7 feet ata yung lalim ng tubig and then the police daw tried to revive the pilot pero unfortunately nga hindi siya na-revive.
So the pilot
nasugatan pa nga yung farmer nung
yung
pagligtas niya
dating piloto ni Will.
Yung pala yun. Was a pilot of Will to Win host Willie Revillame. So hindi pa natin alam kung ano pa yung yung mga detalye bakit nag-crash. But what I know is the family asked for privacy na wag daw muna wag nang pangalanan, ganyan. Pero yan, napangalanan na rin naman siya pala. Julia Flori po.
Pero overall, daming airline accidents, dami helicopter. Dami
diba?
Since December all the way to now, di ba? Multiple reports.
Over the weekend, minabalitaan din ako yung air ambulance.
Yung air ambulance.
Sa US
and then there was another one sa, I think it's South Korea ba?
Meron ulit ngayon, sinasabi ni Direk kanina, I forgot yung kung saan yung lugar. Pero Houston.
Yeah.
Meron din. So,
ay, nako. Alright, in other news, hundreds of riders gathered along Marilake Highway in Rizal on Sunday for a unity ride. Dubbed Make Marilake Road Safe Again, the event aimed to raise awareness about road safety This comes after a series of accidents, including the recent death of a motovlogger. Organizers imposed a strict speed limit of 50 kilometers per hour to ensure the safety of all participating riders. Senator J.V. Ejercito also participated in the event alongside personnel from the Land Transportation Office, PNP Highway Patrol Group, and the Rizal Police. Ejercito appealed to riders not to use the highway as a racetrack, stressing the importance of safety and responsible riding.
Ano, medyo matagal na rin hindi nakapunta rito, 3 years, dahil sa takot ko, hindi natin dapat gawing racetrack ang Marilaki.
Ayan. So, ano naman to para to make sure, ipakita nila na hindi naman lahat ng riders ay irresponsible.
Hindi, actually, madaming mga riders dyan na very disciplined and they belong to groups. May training session pa yan, di ba? And then, meron silang safety seminars once in a while to remind them and the new riders. Yun lang nga, ang daming mga riders din kasi na pag in-address na to ng LTO, LTFRB yung issues nito, na pag kumukuha ng license, minsan atras-abante na lang ginagawa sa motor.
Or minsan nga daw, through fixer.
Through
so,
fixer.
wala nang training
so the
talaga.
person who just bought a motorcycle, kukuha ng license para magamit niya yung motor niya, hindi niya alam yung pros and cons of For example, a case in point, nasa highway ka, tayo, na-experience natin to. We are driving. And then nasa right lane tayo when we're passing into the lane. Bigla na lang may susulpot na rider from your opposite side, yung blind spot. Kumbaga kasi may blind spot ang driver eh. Di ba kasi at the other side, biglang iikot siya dito, pipina sa'yo. Siyempre, pag tatamaan mo siya, magaang lang yung motorsiklo eh. Masasaktan siya. Sino may kasalanan? Yung driver. So things like that, yung mga basic education ng motorcycle
Saka diba,
riders.
naalala ko, pinag-uusapan natin din before, yung mga riders, motorcycle riders, dapat alam nila yung paano yung signal. Kasi diba, pag kotse tayo, meron tayong ilaw, to left, to right, etc. Pero sa mga motorcycle rider, medyo may pagkaiba yung signal.
No, meron din silang, may signal lights din naman sila sa ilaw. Meron silang standard lights. Pero in case na hindi sila makikita, kasi sometimes sa mga umuulan, madilim, meron silang hand gestures na tinuturo na ginagamit rin ng mga cyclists. Pero mostly mga cyclists, iba yan. Kasi yung cyclist, wala naman baterya yung bike eh. So they have to do that. But the motorcycles, now they're equipped with that. Naman. It's just that sometimes hindi nila nagagamit eh. Bigla na lang, they will bank into your lane. They'll cut you into your lane.
Magugulat ka na lang.
Tsaka makikita may misconception ng mga ibang riders sa Commonwealth. Kunyari, yung motorcycle lane, akala nila sila lang ang pwede dumaan doon.
Hindi pala pwede.
Yung pala,
pwedeng i-share.
pag may broken lines, pwede dumaan ng isang car to merge into another lane. Gagalit sila pag pumapasok ka sa kanila.
At nalalaman mo yan through the training na dapat na pinapasukan nila sa pagkuha ng lisensya.
Hindi nila pinapasukan.
Minsan nga dahil nga sa fixer, okay na agad may lisensya na sila. So iniiwasan nga nila yung accident niya sa Marilaki Highway dahil talagang medyo yung curve niya, 'di ba, yun yung delikado.
No, it's a very wide highway kasi, and then since it's very wide, ibang mga enthusiasts humahataw doon at nangangarera doon. And then you have sometimes may kasama sila who are not riding, nakaabang lang sila kunyari sa curve. And then itong mga enthusiasts na may social media accounts, hahataw, papakuha sila ng video sa
for the content.
For content. Yan ang mga tao for content.
Oo, pero yun ang iwasan nila. And I think pinashow cause order din yung lalaki nag-ala Superman sa Davao. Naalala mo yun? Last week ata yung report natin para to explain. Kasi otherwise, kung hindi maayos yung explanation niya o hindi tanggapin ng kinauukulan, matanggalan siya ng lisensya dahil dun sa pagpapasikat na ginawa. Diba?
Sa totoong buhay po, walang Superman ha. Kaya huwag kayo mag-a-attempt mga kalokohan na ganyan.
But hopefully by doing this, mabawasan na. Diba? Yung aksidente dyan sa Marilaki Highway.
Well, we cannot totally, eradicate
accident is accident. But
no, we can, isabi mo nga, mabawasan. The keyword is to lessen senseless accidents na kaya naman matangan.
Kasi tulad nun, kung nag-exhibition ka lang ng mga para lang.
Yung sa video.
Pwede mong iwasan.
Yung sa video, yung nag-exhibition, yung gumanon. Diba? Parang,
diba?
wow. Ay, nako, nakakainit ng ulo. Pero that's why everyone has to stay safe all the time. Err on the side of
safety.
All right, that wraps up today's episode of Brunch.
Nakang quote?
Ito, quotes.
Join us again tomorrow. I'm Angela Lagunsad Castro.
I'm Angelo Castro III.
We are One News, all sides, all the time.